episode 212. My name is Dave. I'm joined by Michael.
How's it going, Dave? It's been a weird week for me. Hopefully your week has not been weird as well.
Nah, I mean, the weather is kind of funky, like 70-degree days and 30-degree days, but I think you got
tornadoes in between. Yeah. When you hear
like
the tornado sirens in the city, it's like
scraping your car and then taking your jacket off and wishing you wore shorts later on in the day when you come home from work.
There's been a lot of days where I have my winter jacket and my hoodie on, which is my usual attire, and then by the end of the day, I'm like, what am I going to do with either one of these articles of clothing? Yeah.
All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Time on podcast services. We also live stream our show on Twitch and on YouTube, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, youtube.com/digitaldaysgaming. You can hang out in our Discord because Facebook just didn't work for a couple hours this week. And I think it's still broken for some people. Like, it sounds like
I couldn't log into my Facebook account right now on the browser. So it might still be broken a little.
Yeah, so there's a couple challenges with Facebook and Instagram, but so far, obviously, knock on wood, I can't really recall Discord like not working.
One time during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that was basically when a bunch of people were running to Discord.
Yeah. So it's very much fragmented out into different categories, and we can always add categories depending on conversations, separated by game, voice channels. The big hotness right now is Helldivers. There's always a lot of discussion in our Helldivers channel, as that game just got its first balance patch. So that's been a nice topic of conversation amongst some of the Helldivers community. And there's a bunch going on in there. So consider joining that. That's linked in the show notes. You can join the Facebook group if you want. You can just request that, as well as follow us on Twitter. But all those are linked in the show notes. And speaking of show notes, we're going to jump right into some news.
Yeah, we're going to get into, if you enjoy when we talk about business sides of the video game industry, there's a ton of that in there. But we do have some regular video game news and announcements to talk about as well in between. The first bit is Ghost of Tsushima is coming to PC in May. So PlayStation, Sucker Punch, and Nixies announced that Ghost is coming May 16th. It's going to come with all the bells and whistles you want. This could be a really good game visually to put on PC with all the bells and whistles for PlayStation. It's been a long time coming for Ghost. This is a game that people have been wanting for a while. It sold over 10 million units on a PS4, so it was like really successful for like a new IP on PlayStation. And this is obviously part of PlayStation's continued plan to release games on PC to broaden their market. I feel like I didn't see as much outrage over this release because it seems like more people are just excited that they're doing stuff with Ghost and that it's coming to more people. Because people want a sequel to this game. Mm-hmm. And this is the best way to get it is by getting more people caring about this franchise.
Yeah. I haven't played it. I think I own it, partially because I believe my son purchased it, and we obviously share a game share, his account down in, or my account, Digital Games. So I haven't played it yet. I'd be curious. Did they talk about price or anything?
$50.
Okay. So, it probably will look better on my PC than it would on my PS5. So that's super interesting, and I really haven't checked it out yet. So, that is, 4 years is a long time. Half sarcastic, half serious. It's at least somewhat relieving to know what Sucker Punch has been doing. A little bit of Sucker Punch has been doing for a while.
No, Nixies is the one who actually ported this. But maybe they were watching it closely.
Yeah. I think
it is a director's cut, by the way.
Yeah.
So it is the full Ghost experience.
Yes, I think anytime that you have an opportunity to broaden your player base on other platforms, like, go for it. So, I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about this game. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a game I've been wanting to get back to. I played it when it first came out, and I just didn't finish it just because that was around the time I discovered that I don't really like open world games anymore. But it was still it was an interesting enough game that I probably should finish it up. If I probably load my save, I'm probably like 3/4 of the way through the game because that's just where I hit when I just started to focus on collectibles. But yeah, no, this is good for PlayStation. This would probably be very successful. The PC market would enjoy this game a lot. And again, PlayStation needs to do this if you still want PlayStation to make single player games. They need to get more people to buy their game. So
I'm just curious. I think people will play this game just to check it out, but and check it out and play it and experience it. But I really truly feel like, and I think you're in step with me on this, is if somebody really wanted to play Ghost of Tsushima, because of how much good things they heard about it, saw the reviews, saw the praise, like they would have just at this point in time they would have just gotten a PS4 or PS5, right?
I'm like half and half on that because that's also like a big ask for someone to be like, I really want to play that Ghost game, so I'm going to throw $500 down on that game. So I would say like there probably is a good chunk of PC players that have been waiting for this game to come out because just especially if you start as a PC gamer, it's really hard for me to imagine a PC gamer
I get
wanting
it.
to buy a console.
Do you think
Now, if this was coming to Switch or something, then it'd be like, yeah, they would have bought a PlayStation by now.
Do you think it's going to chart in Steam top 10 the week it comes out?
Yeah, it seems like every PlayStation game at least charts.
Okay.
How long it stays up there, it could be anywhere from like a day or two to like a full week to a month.
Okay.
I think there's enough like excitement around this game. Especially, remember, this game was kind of like the anti-The Last of Us game.
Yeah.
When people were pissed at The Last of Us Part 2, people really championed Ghost. So that there's a large amount of people that will probably double dip that might have switched over to PC.
Yeah.
And wouldn't mind jumping back to the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's PlayStation's big move for the week. The next one is something that it's just me being like they're coming for our games. Warner Brothers is delisting an indie game called Small Radios, Big Televisions. So indie developer Owen Deary revealed that Warner Brothers will be delisting their game from the PS4 and Steam stores in the coming weeks. So to combat it, the developer was actually able to make the game free on Steam until it gets delisted. So I guess it can control the price on the PC. Small Radios, Big Televisions was published by Adult Swim Games, which is now owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. And it was published back in 2016. When they asked the developer on why the game is being delisted by Warner Brothers, the only thing that they were able to say is business changes. This is the thing that I've been like kind of warning people about, of this like, hey, Warner Brothers has been kind of drunk with power in terms of just like burning and like deleting whole movies that were finished for like tax write-offs and just close some potential revenue issues and stuff like that. And I have been saying for a while, eventually some game studios are going to learn about that process and like the tax write-off benefits for it, or just the benefits from a bottom line reasoning on why you'd want to delist something. And it looks like Warner Brothers, who's big in Hollywood doing that, is now going to their indie development labels that I forgot they owned, and they're starting to do that. So yeah, if you were interested in this game, I think I reviewed it back in the olden days, and I thought it was an interesting game.
It's not free on Steam.
He said it was, but I don't know if he's having problems doing that.
Okay,
so.
It's $11.99. So
okay, yeah.
And then
they said he was going to do that, but I don't know how long it's going to take for it to actually happen.
Yeah, so as of March 6th, the night of March 6th, it's not showing as free on Steam, but
so apparently plans were changed. You have to go to his website to download it for free.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I missed that spot. But yeah, it's free to download directly from the developer.
Okay.
But it's going to be delisted in a couple weeks. But yeah, Dave, like kind of crazy. I know you don't really care if it's not a game you're interested in, but the idea that they're delisting.
Delisting is bad.
Yeah.
Like without a real valid reason other than business changes. Like I don't see what the benefit or the harm. The benefit, I only see harm. I don't see a benefit to delisting. Taking something away. Obviously, if you bought it on Steam, like you own it, you can still play it. You can download it. You can re-download it. You can, it's yours. But something going away that does suck, and I don't know. I think about it in 10 or 15 years. If there's a really cool game that I played on PS4 or something like that I really want Owen to experience and play, and I know it was on Steam at one point in time, and I go to find it and I can't because you can't buy it again when I'm trying to play it on PS7 or whatever. That sucks, and that's disappointing. And I'm a firm believer in like I don't I mean, you do a much you and Josh Langford do a much better job than I do, obviously, of taking care of things. But eventually, like a disc won't work. Um, so like potentially,
Potentially,
the
there's a
disc
chance.
the disc won't work, the drive won't work, the things can get damaged. Like at least for the most part, you can sort of back up a digital library. Like either whether you're keeping stuff on servers or keeping it on,
Yeah,
like a
depending on the
backup.
DRM stuff
Yeah.
that's built in.
So I mean I feel like it's a little bit more obviously, and I think you agree with me. Like the digital stuff is a little bit more future proof, but not necessarily delisting proof. Like
Yeah,
obviously, so like there's pros and cons to both of it. I just don't like looking at all the clutter. Like but
yeah.
I understand and respect anybody's ability to get physical copies or get discs and stuff, but like stuff like this does make it kind of scary. Like I don't know, I don't know if you put it in here. Like I don't know how old this game is. It's it came in
2016.
2016, so it's not even that old.
Yeah.
And I would like to know why. Like I mean, at this point in time in this world, I can't. I obviously he probably had to sign some contract or something like that, or they're gonna take his money or sue him or something. So
Yeah. There's got to be like some random fee that they're just, either to keep it up on like PlayStation or Steam servers that they don't want to do, or this could be a sign that they're going to just get rid of the Adult Swim games division,
yeah.
and that could just mean that we always talk about that, like when companies go away and the game is still listed on a store, where does that money go to? And that could be something Warner Brothers just doesn't want to have to deal with.
And who's responsible for that server? Like who's responsible for monitoring it?
Who's responsible for making sure the developer gets paid
Mm-hmm.
if the company that published it isn't around anymore. So yeah, there's like a lot of reasons why a company would just flat out delist it because they just don't want to think about it.
How many of the copies of this game are selling a month right now, though? I don't know. Like,
it's weird. I'm sure they're getting an increase of sales now because you're going to have people panic buying just to add it to their Steam library. But yeah, the idea that like they would rather just delete it forever than have to deal with maybe like
once a quarter.
Abuse.
Once a quarter paying out somebody, like an automated thing. Especially with the way that money moves now, just digitally paying somebody. Like I don't get. I mean,
but
it doesn't make sense. So
it makes sense that Warner Brothers would be the first company to start doing this in the video game industry. And I'm now just in my head, just like, I wonder what other things that we don't realize Warner Brothers owns that they're going to start delisting. Because there's like licensed stuff that just kind of makes sense. Like the Forza games got delisted because like, hey, they don't have the licenses for certain cars anymore, certain music and the soundtrack. But I wonder when it starts hitting like small radios, big televisions. I'm pretty sure there was no licensed stuff in that. That was a game made by one individual person. I don't think there was any licensed music in it. So the idea that they're just like, nah, this isn't worth it. It just makes less sense to me.
I mean, do you think it's something as simple as he signed an 8-year contract and that contract expired?
It could be. And it comes time to renegotiate. And it's just like, sorry, there's no one for you to renegotiate with because that division doesn't exist or whatever. But yeah, Warner Brothers being the first one to do it, I think we might start seeing some of this happen more and more. It's just going to be figuring out when and where. I mean, we'll talk about Embracer Group in like 2 stories, and that could be where it does happen next. But Warner Brothers is still in the news. So recently, multiple executives have reiterated that they're going down to they're doubling down on live service games. So one of the executives said, the challenge we've had in our business historically, there has been very AAA console based and so. In weird sense. As you know, that's a great business. When you have a hit like Harry Potter, it makes the year look amazing. And then when you don't have a release, or unfortunately, we also have disappointments. We just released Suicide Squad this quarter, which was not as strong. It just makes it very volatile. So with that said, summarizing, Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, very successful, great business for them. Suicide Squad, not good business, very much a disappointment. What they take from this is they're doing more live service games and doubling down on producing live service games. An example was just like, what if Hogwarts Legacy was a live service game where you stay there and spend money infinitely or something like that? And that's the example they gave. But yeah, it's so weird hearing executives kind of talk like this because they contradict themselves pretty frequently. But
executives talk out of both ends of their mouth all the time.
Yeah. But this does confirm Suicide Squad was not a success
Oh yeah, the Steam
for
numbers
Warner
show that too.
Brothers.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's worse than the Avengers in
Yeah.
terms of that. Joker did get a release date of the end of this month.
Oh, I'll say okay.
I doubt that's going to bring a ton of people in. But Dave, the idea that Warner Brothers is going down a live service path, and what's showing them to do it is Suicide Squad's failure and Harry Potter's
Well,
success.
I don't think it's that simple. So, did you play Hogwarts?
A little bit.
Okay.
Little bit. I watched someone play most of it.
Okay, so what makes Hogwarts good?
It would be just the lore that it dives into.
Would it be hurt as a service game? Do you think?
I don't see how you would do it as a service game.
But would it hurt
honestly,
it?
Because I don't see how you would do it as a service game. I just don't know if that IP really necessarily
and then
goes to it.
What makes Suicide Squad bad?
That it's a live service game that
It's
makes
not that simple. Like I just it's because it has bad gameplay.
No, I think the gameplay. I actually like the gameplay, but gameplay loop,
which is bad. Like it's like that part is bad
because they're stretching it to a live service game, and it just wasn't supposed to fit. And I think they'll run into that same problem with Harry Potter.
I think that if they do it right, though, like because did the Division Division had repeatable change difficulties, change modifiers, things that you could go easily through it, you could go hard through it, you could go super hard through it, you can go stupid hard through it. And I haven't played enough Suicide Squad because I stopped playing. Partially because I just had a really hard time connecting with the characters. Like in my opinion, in order for a live service game to be successful, I think that there is plenty of stories, plenty of arcs, plenty of content in the Harry Potter universe that they could do sustained seasonal content, 100%, like and engaging content. I don't think there's enough in Suicide Squad in terms of what they were trying to accomplish. Similar to I don't think there was enough in Avengers, and then also. The Division did its own thing underneath the Tom Clancy umbrella. I'm sorry. Destiny is doing its own thing with its own lore. And again, good, bad, indifferent. They see the increase and decrease in player count when they release good content and do good things in the game. Go ahead.
So what I would say with your two examples are two examples of original IPs that you were able to make into live service, as opposed to trying to slap an IP onto live service.
100%.
Which is where I think they could make mistakes in terms of trying to stretch the Harry Potter Hogwarts into a live service game like they tried to do with Suicide Squad. When Suicide Squad was announced, we were like, how the fuck are you going to do a live service game off Suicide Squad? And I feel like they could end up in the same spot. They would almost be better off just trying to create a new IP.
Yeah, no,
I
you're 100% valid. I 100% agree with that, and that's why those things are successful. You can even go all the way back to like For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege. Even though like Rainbow Six is a franchise, what it's doing is in terms of a military strategy shooter. And same thing how Call of Duty does it with the seasonal content. And I agree with you. Like there's enough story arcs to tell compelling stories in the Harry Potter world. I don't know enough about it, but there's enough books.
Which is just about like a core of 3 kids that are like going on adventures. So.
And then but again, there was Suicide Squad and the Avengers but at the same time, like Suicide Squad and the Avengers, there wasn't enough there wasn't a good enough foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you can't I'm going to use a very generic term. Like you can't put a different hat on Harry Potter when he gets selected for what house he's going to go to. Like that's already defined. Yeah. But no, I mean, you can't do a different, like the hat can't be like a boulder hat or something like, very basic, broad example.
No. Yeah. And that's what I'm worried about. Like,
stuck.
Especially
you don't have
single school.
Yeah. You have guardrails. Like I always use in the analogy, like, sometimes we need guardrails. You're on a road, an open road, but you need to have the barriers on the left side and the right side versus just a field. You just do whatever that fuck you want. Harry Potter is on a linear path of a road of for the most part you have an idea of what's happening. Even recently we've seen the stuff with Percy Jackson and Disney Plus where Rick Riordan was involved with this Percy Jackson. He wasn't involved with the movie. People hated the movie, didn't compare it to the book. Like there's all those things that are happening versus circling back to your point of For Honor, brand new combat based thing that's still going. Like it did its own thing in a samurai universe. The Division used the Tom Clancy arc of what they can and can't do, and they succeeded. On the contrary, Ghost Recon Breakpoint didn't succeed, even though it was still trying to use the same thing because it didn't have the hook. So it's, and I think that Avalanche Studio maybe over time might be able to get the hook to where and again, I haven't played Legacy, but to where they try to say, okay, we love and respect the Harry Potter world. We're going to, if Warner Brothers makes them, which I think they will, we're going to go this direction with Hogwarts, and we're going to have you make your own wizard, your own student, like,
which is what you do in Hogwarts,
right? But now this is your student for the next X amount of years. Like, this is, you're evolving this person, this class, and you can make different ones. Like that's where some of the multiple character stuff works in Destiny, in the Division. Different classes, different characters, different abilities, different things. Even though you're playing the same content, you're playing it differently. You don't really, because we talked about that with Suicide Squad, like, all 4 of the characters are moving around together, so they don't really get enough time to flesh out their own independent storylines, or the story is a lot about them or the Justice League, versus the story is about, in the Division, is about the world and the environment, and the story about Destiny is about the world and the environment and what's going on. Like, again, I hate to keep using Destiny as an example, but for a long time, the Guardian didn't talk. The character just didn't talk. Yeah. He was just a thing. He was you. And they got that Bungie nailed that aspect of it, and that's why it was successful and plateaued and now slowly is declining. And the Division nailed it twice, for enough of a time. But it was really about, and to give another example, Helldivers is kind of doing it too, where you're just you're it's more about your ship than it is about it's just a grunt that goes down there, and it's not about the person, the character. It's about the world and the environment and the team. And I don't know how you, like, at the same time as saying that, how do you accomplish that in Harry Potter with, how do you have like 4 different wizards going into the same event? Like, like that.
Yeah. And that's where, like, I think they're going to run into issues. And because it's, based on Hogwarts, a single location, a school during one time period, it's like, the idea, but this is why I think game budgets are so overblown at this point.
Because everybody wants everything.
Yeah, because you literally already have the blueprint written of, like, hey, we already built out Hogwarts in a different time period. The next Hogwarts game can take place 10 years down the line, new student, or like the heir or descendant of another student. And you can go that way and potentially save some money because some assets are pre-made, because Hogwarts kind of looks the same no matter what.
Yep.
But instead, they're like, okay, let's tear everything down. All right, how can we make this an MMO? Like, how can we make this a live service game? How can we microtransaction the shit out of this? And it's just like, they're going to spend so much money in R&D rebuilding things from the ground up, and then it'll come out and they'll be like, this wasn't that successful. And it's just like, yeah, you could have just Call of Duty the shit out of this franchise. And been set for however long you
it's just ultimately becomes like, what's the better answer? And this is where I don't know, because I mean, like, so Hogwarts won best-selling game of the year last year of 2023. So how many copies do we know roughly?
I think it was at least over 20 for sure, I believe.
So, like, what's better, like selling 20 million copies every 4 years, or somehow holding 2.5 million players for 6 years?
For some season passes.
It's so hard to judge that, and I think that the board members or people that are stockholders and board, like, they don't like, in all charts and everything like that, they don't like to see spikes. They don't like to see big mountains. They like to see just they like to see curves, and mostly like they see the curves like going up and think and they think it goes up.
And they think they'll be dead by the time it goes back down.
Right, and so when they see it go down, they're like, okay, it's going down. What are you going to do about it? And Avalanche is probably like, what do you mean? What we're going to do about it? We're working on the second game. It'll go back up in 3 years, and it'll hopefully the goal is that we sell more than 20 million copies. Yeah, but what are we going to do between now and then? Nothing. Shut your mouth. And that, like, that's the problem. And I mean, I've seen some people talk about, just make smaller games, but like we talked about last week, I don't know if the consumer really, you and I want smaller games, but does the 15-year-old kid want a smaller game? Does the 18-year-old kid want a smaller game?
And that's the thing that I was talking about. Like, eventually the video game industry is going to have to, like, reconfigure the player into going back and accepting that, like, this happens. like just like reset expectations, which would probably lead to them having to drop the $70 game and put it back down to 60. And I don't think anyone wants to do that.
No, the game should be $100.
But yeah, I mean that's technically
Yeah,
where it should be, because right now we get $70 games with like $50 worth of microtransactions.
right. I said it years ago. I just want a developer to come out and say, look, here's my game. I've got a plan for content for the next 2 years. It costs $140. This is my plan.
Yeah.
But you buy my game at $140, and this is what I'm doing for the next 24 months, and you never have to open your wallet again. Would you buy it?
Yeah. I mean, most people, I think, most people would be pissed about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there would be people like me or you that would be like, okay, yeah, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but the reality is, instead, here's my game. It costs $70, but you can get the gold edition that's $100, and I'm gonna have an expansion next year that's $80.
Yeah, no, and then even more so, it's just like, okay, and I promise it'll come in this window that is not agreed to. And
yeah,
then
that's the concern of like you get the Mighty Number 9 Kickstarter thing going on again, where it's like, oh, like it hit all these stretch goals, and I'm gonna make a Mega Man clone, and then it didn't turn out to be a Mega Man clone, and it didn't come to the platforms that it was supposed to go to, even though people paid for it. I get that's the problem, but the alternative is, if it doesn't, the hopes and dreams and to your point, the research and the development that gets put into it, and if you don't buy it at the $70 price point, you don't get the 6-month DLC, and then you don't get the sequel because it didn't do anything.
Yeah,
and that development just goes away. Like, whatever, I'm sure, I'm confident in saying this. Whatever MMO Blizzard was working on that just got demolished by all the layoffs and everything like that, there's a really good chance that was going to be a fantastic game, right?
Yeah, because it's Blizzard.
Yeah, and now all of those assets, all of those mechanics that were built and thoughts they're just gone. Like, they're gone.
You hope they didn't lay off the people that were working on that game, and maybe they can use those assets otherwise. But if they were laid off, like, it's gone.
Yeah,
like,
all the faction stuff that was being made for Last of Us factions or whatever they were trying to do, and like whatever, like they thought it was going to be some great thing, or like that's just gone. Like, and yeah, I mean, no, it's not gone, but no, it's never going to see the light of day. Like, hopefully it's like somebody saved on somebody's hard drive and they can use it somewhere else, or they can show like if somebody left Last of Us or left Naughty Dog and they're trying to, God forbid, go work at WB on Harry Potter and be like, hey man, this is what I was trying to accomplish. Here's my work, like, but.
Yeah, but for the most part, that stuff is gone, and you hope maybe an animation can be reused if someone finds it on like the company computers.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just scary, and it's so hard to tell. Like, did you really think that Helldivers was going to outdo Counter-Strike Go? Like, really?
Yeah, no one expected it. Like, right. I don't remember there being that much buzz from the first trailer or second trailer for it, other than someone like me or you who really liked the first Helldivers. But
to break Steam records, like,
and continuously do so, and despite the issues, still doing well. Mm-hmm. Typically, right now, if a game was having as many issues as Helldivers had, it would be dead. Yeah. Like, people would have abandoned it.
Yeah. So
look at Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's scary, man. It's just so hit and miss. I don't blame WB for thinking it, because they're standing there looking at, hey, Sony just put out this $40-$50 game that's just destroying everything, and our amazing, what they think their amazing Suicide Squad game that took 9 years.
Whatever you want to count as a development cycle for that game, but
in between games for that studio, and now it's like, oh, now you spent 9 years and this is your result, and then Rocksteady's probably like, oh, look, fuckers, we didn't want to do this in the first place, and this is why.
The fucked up thing with like Suicide Squad, it's like, okay, how much should we make off the $70? And they're like, okay, we made this much money off $70. Okay, what about that good live service money? How much is coming in after the fact? And they're like, not a lot. Not a lot. I don't even know what you buy in Suicide Squad right now.
I don't either.
Yeah, so like it's just a whole mess. But the idea that, like, I think what I find funny is the fact that Warner Brothers looks at all that and are like, we know how to do a live service game. And it's just like, you don't. Like, Suicide Squad was or Arkham games were all single player games. You made that studio do a live service multiplayer game, and this is your result.
Yeah. Well,
Avalanche Studio made single player Harry Potter game that was really good,
yeah.
and now you're gonna put them possibly in the multiplayer zone. It's like,
Hey, you know
come
what?
on,
I will give Rocksteady credit though. They got their game out.
eventually.
I, better than Naughty Dog.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the bar is low, and
better
for
than
that point.
Blizzard.
Yeah,
You know, like
they eventually got it out.
in their full control, but they at least got it to launch. Launching, you ask any developer, launching the game is hard. Is almost
Well,
near.
because video games are impossible.
They're a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Launching a game that sells 1 million copies, unicorn miracle.
Yep. So I guess good on you. I hope you survive, because I still think that, the story bits of Suicide Squad actually look pretty good. Like they Rocksteady still looks like they are capable at making a compelling story in the DC universe.
But
They
at
were
this
just told
point in
to do the
time,
wrong
in order for
project.
Rocksteady to save face and save some money right now, I expect to see a full remaster remake of Arkham Asylum.
Which would be the second time they've done it, so it would be kind of hilarious.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a PS5 version with new suits and everything.
Yeah. Maybe are they doing the Wonder Woman game, or is that a different studio?
I don't know.
Yeah, but even Wonder Woman, the excitement from when that game was announced a couple years ago, the Wonder Woman IPs.
Yeah, it was after her first movie was good. The second one wasn't good.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that. We'll move on to the next story. Embracer Group is selling Saber Interactive for $500 million. So Bloomberg reported Embracer has sold Saber Interactive already to a private investor group. Sounds like Saber kind of requested.
Saber bought them out somehow, bought themselves out.
They made some friends that threw money their way. So Saber Interactive is currently working on Jurassic Park Survival, which looked really cool from the Game Awards, as well as apparently they are still working on the Knights of the Old Republic remake that they took from Aspyr for PlayStation. The deal could apparently include some support studios, but the details on what studios are coming along with them is unknown at this time. Saber was acquired by Embracer Group in 2020 for somewhere between 150 to 375 million dollars. It was very incentive based, so it doesn't know if they actually made it to the 375. But Embracer's in trouble, but at least they were able to pull a profit, I guess, off of the sale. I think we're going to see a lot of companies or developers get a chance to buy himself out. This is something that's been relatively new in the video game industry the last couple of years. Bungie had been doing it for years. They bought themselves out a couple times, but it seems more and more studios are taking the action they can to break away from their parent companies. But Dave, someone has been unembraced, but not in the way that involves being shut down. So
that's
good on Saber
terrible
Interactive.
Fun. Terrible fun.
I mean, it is now turned into you've been embraced means you're being eaten up and like shut down. So they were able to escape that.
What do they make that makes them $500 million though? Like, what do they own? I just went on their website, like Mud Runner, Ghostbusters, Redout, Circus Electric. I'm sorry, like I don't know enough about Saber myself, I guess, but Evil Dead the game, World War Z Aftermath. I'm not seeing any like, oh, I didn't know they made that. I mean, is it have to do with their contract? I mean, is some of it's the contract for the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic game? Like, how much weight does that carry?
So it's a little bit of that, but they also are considered one of the best like auxiliary studios out there.
They have 20 studios with 2,500 employees. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Warhammer. Warhammer 40,000. Okay. That wasn't listed on this image here, so.
Yeah. They are an auxiliary studio, so they touch a lot of games. They
Witcher
port
3.
a lot of games. Yeah.
First they put Witcher 3 on Switch. They did Halo Master Chief Collection, Crisis Remastered. Okay.
Yeah. So they're an attractive studio because if you do acquire them, you can then rent them out to other studios for contract work. So like I can see why a company or private investors would be like, you know what, they are an investment because they can do work like the Witcher Switch like port shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other stuff that they've done, they did all the Crisis remasters for
kind of
the
similar
Switch.
to like Iron Galaxy, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
But the only
But
difference is
bigger.
they can do original games and they're
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Iron Galaxy on steroids. Okay.
basically yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Good.
Iron
I mean, good for
Galaxy,
them. Find somebody
yeah,
to invest in them, and and to buy them, and to get them to be independent. There's reports that Gearbox is working on the same deal. Schreier was saying that as well.
yes,
Um, Schreier said that Knights of the Old Republic isn't dead. He just doesn't know when it's coming.
yeah, and it sounds like it got put in this deal, which I almost wonder. Like, I would imagine PlayStation has to okay that because PlayStation sound like they took it away from Aspire. Like they told
Yeah.
Embracer, Aspire's not working on this anymore. Give it to someone else, and it was given to Saber
Or
Interactive. So I
or Sony
wonder.
Sony said, I don't care who buys you, just as long as you honor our contract, and that maybe made the cost go up because they get to build the contract. So
Yeah, it could be something like that, or who knows? PlayStation technically be one of the private investors. You never know. Like,
right.
it could work out that way. Uh, but yeah, the idea that they're also going to grow technically Saber by taking some auxiliary studios is kind of interesting to hear that. I mean, some more companies will like be able to like leave Embracer,
Mm-hmm.
which at this point I'm sure like they don't
Can't
care
run.
who they
Yeah.
go to. They're just like, oh, we're going to Saber, the only company at Embracer that can release games. Perfect. Uh, but yeah, it's cool to see like a company like break away. Hopefully, the private investing group isn't like some evil group, but if they have $500 million, probably a little evil, because it's a crazy amount of money. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see the Knights of the Old Republic game in ever. Still,
Yeah, I
like
agree.
despite
I don't
this,
think it's coming, but
yeah. But hey, another thing has left, and this is just making me more. I now think there's a possibility either Crystal Dynamics can break away and be acquired by someone or go independent. Same thing with like Eidos Montreal.
yeah.
I honestly I just want to see I just want to see PlayStation buy Eidos. Like
Just
that's
let them
the
go back
only
to
thing I
making
want to
more
see.
Deus Ex.
They made the really good Guardians of the Galaxy game,
Yep,
and
I know.
PlayStation is really tied to Marvel right now, so that would
Yep.
be a perfect studio to just pick them and
Mm-hmm.
maybe give them the X-Men or someone.
Maybe not. Maybe in this current climate, maybe not purchase them, but like go into a managing partnership.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like we'll talk about in the next story
Yeah.
here. Toys for Bob they are going independent. So Toys for Bob is breaking away from Activision / Microsoft and going independent. The studio made the announcement on Twitter and shared some of their plans, which include possibly working with Microsoft on a game. They also said they are in early development on their next game, and they hope to make an announcement in the future about what that is.
They got hit hard by the layoffs, right?
I believe so. I believe like up
I
to
thought they were
30 to
closing. I
50%.
thought they were closing them.
They closed their physical office
Okay.
and then laid off 30 to 50% of their
Okay.
staff.
So, I hate to be this person and to say this. I said this on Twitter, but this is like you being 24 or 25 years old and saying, I'm going to go live on my own, and your mom and dad still pay your cell phone bill. They're still paying your medical insurance. Like I almost feel like, does Toys for Bob need to exist for these games to be made? No, I don't think so. Is it okay that they exist? Yes. Does it look weird that they're running back into the arms of Microsoft? It looks weird, yes. But what else are they going to make? Because Microsoft owns everything that they would want to, or that they had the talent to make.
I think this, I see your point, but I also think this is like an instance where this happens a lot where an employee turns into a contractor.
Right.
And this feels very much like Toys for Bob must have asked Microsoft of like, hey, before you close this, how much will it cost for us to get our independence? And they negotiated from there because it sounds like Microsoft was really close to
but
shutting them down.
So my question to you is if Toys for Bob wants to do Banjo-Kazooie, okay?
Mhm.
Let's say they want to do it. And they sign a contract with Microsoft to get the rights to develop a Banjo-Kazooie game, okay?
Yeah.
How much control does Microsoft have on what they're putting in that game?
I mean, since it's
or is it here you go, here's Banjo, do what you want? Is that how it works?
I would imagine Toys for Bob has enough cachet that Microsoft, if they're making a deal being like, here's Spyro, here's Crash, here's Banjo, that they would trust them enough, but there would be more checkpoints in there. I feel like they would have more freedom if they were under Microsoft's umbrella. because
I
Microsoft
agree.
kind of
Yeah.
just seems to be like, do your thing.
Yep.
But now with the contract, there's certain things that can be set
Mm-hmm.
and goals that they have to meet.
Because we're seeing this exact same thing with Bungie twice now, with Activision and now with Sony, where it was rumored that Activision was dictating when they released it, how they released it. If they didn't hit it, they lost a bunch of incentives, they lost a bunch of bonuses, and now we're also hearing that Sony saying, and the difference is that Activision Bungie was a partnership allegedly, and Sony Bungie is a partnership with a purchase. To the point where Sony can be like, okay, Bungie is mine because you didn't hit these parameters. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of one of these things where I think it's really cool that they got to have their moment in the sun and their Toys for Bob, but without their IPs, like, are they really Toys for Bob?
Well, the thing is, Toys for Bob doesn't. I mean, they never really had their own IP. They played with Activision's IPs. So I think it's a good first move for them to work with Microsoft on one of the established IPs to at least build up a little bit of like cash flow.
Yeah.
So they can work on something that they really want to work on. And if there's a company that can handle the next Spyro game, which the Spyro Twitter account has been very active the last couple months during all this turmoil, which makes me think we could get a Spyro game. This is the studio that Microsoft would want to work with for this, so it just kind of makes sense.
I worry that the gaming community holds studios' names in really high clout. That's all. Like, oh, look, Vicarious Visions is back. Okay. There's one dude on the team that was on there 20 years ago.
Like, yeah, but in that case, Vicarious Visions made the remakes, and it was like, hey, this is really good.
I agree, but if we got a new Vicarious Visions right now, or got Volition back right now, like, is it the same Volition?
Well, Volition, since it was like scattered to the wind, it wouldn't be. But Vicarious Vision, they were just renamed Blizzard Albuquerque or whatever the hell they were. So, but when it comes to Toys for Bob, like the idea that they can work independently and they're not going to be beholden to, because right now, like if you work for one of these big companies, if your CEO sneezes and the stock price dips a little bit on it, you could be laid off. So like the idea that Toys for Bob is like, we will work on a contract with Microsoft because then they won't be able to lay us off because, like, I don't know, someone said something inappropriate on Twitter.
Yeah. No, I get
in a different department, you know, or like a different company.
Optically, it looks odd to be like, hey, we're independent. Hey, we're going to sign a contract with Microsoft. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, like you brought up Destiny. It's just like it's Bungie being like, hey, we're leaving Microsoft and joining the great company of Activision.
Running, they ran out the door out of Microsoft and ran right into the arms of Activision, and then ran away from Activision, and then years later ran into the arms of Sony. Like,
yeah, I mean, this very much feels like, you know, Microsoft is like, oh, so you'll still make the game we want you to make, but we don't have to run HR for you. Okay, fine, let's do it.
Yeah.
And Toys for Bob is like, cool, we don't have to deal with like weird ego bullshit, like when like one company in the umbrella has issues that we get punished for. So it's kind of very much like a put up or shut up moment for Toys for Bob, and I really think it will help them in a long run to work on an established IP to just set themselves up again. Because I feel like they have to reintroduce themselves, because I don't think the casual gamer knows anything about Toys for Bob. We know about Toys for Bob. People listening here know about Toys for Bob. But they need to rebuild that brand.
It's the same thing. Like, you know, I fell head down into the sneakerhead world again the last couple of months, and it's like the same thing. Like some new company could come out of nowhere and make the greatest basketball shoe, the most comfortable basketball shoe ever, the coolest looking thing ever, and people are like, I ain't buying that. That ain't a Jordan.
I mean, it's the X-Rare people that have made like the really good ukulele games.
Yep.
Those are Banjo-Kazooie games, but no one talks about them or no one cares about them. They're really good 3D platformers because it's ukulele.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't even name the studio that studio's name is.
Right.
Like,
that's the part that I'm concerned about, is like the same thing like we circled back to last week. Like, do we want another Naughty Dog game, or do we want another Neil Druckmann game? Do we want another Batman game, or do we want another Rocksteady game? Like a Rocksteady single player game, like that. Like it's so hard to figure out that blurry line. Like, do we want Ghost of Tsushima 2, or do we want a Sucker Punch game? You know, it's so hard, because it's like Do we want more Infamous, or do we want more Ghost? Do we want something new? And then, that's new. I don't know if I really like that. I'm not buying that. And then they're like, well, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, I hope Toys for Bob, like, they'll have more freedom working with Microsoft in this relationship on like a Spyro Crash, but it also opens them up to where if they want to like partner with a PlayStation and be like, give us a crack at Sly or give us a crack at Jack and Dexter, because that's kind of what their wheelhouse is.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
That sort
Absolutely.
of thing. They could go down that road. It'll probably be a more restrictive thing, just like if they would go to Nintendo and be like, give us like one of the characters you don't care about and let us do something. It'll be super restrictive, but at least they have the opportunity now.
Right. Versus before, you're owned by Microsoft, you just do what you're told.
Yeah, yeah. And this way they can negotiate with Microsoft because they couldn't negotiate before.
True.
So now that gives them a little bit of leverage.
You sold me a little bit more on that, so kudos to you. Valid points. So.
Yeah. It's what I'm here for, Dave.
All
right. The next thing we have, the final thing, is the Xbox Partner Showcase recap. There was a decent amount of games in here. This is only the second partner showcase they've done, apparently. And it very much felt like a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase or one of the PlayStation State of Plays that are just third-party related. I'm going to go through the stuff that caught my interest that I hope also caught Dave's interest, and we'll just talk about them one by one. The first thing, which I think was like probably the most interesting thing for me, is Unknown 9 Awakening coming summer 2024. This looked like an Assassin's Creed like game.
That's exactly what my wife said while we were watching it. So.
Yeah. It looks like what everyone wanted when people saw Assassin's Creed and were like, "Oh, I want the next Prince of Persia game."
Yeah. So
look like this.
This didn't have that little logo of like new game reveal. Did we know this was a thing?
I believe there was a teaser once before. I just couldn't tell you where.
Yeah. So I was thoroughly impressed with how this looked. I thought originally I was like, what is Ubisoft doing at a Microsoft event? Like the first couple of seconds, I was like,
it looked like Assassin's Creed or Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
It looked
so I was like, okay, interesting. It does look super cool. But I just thought it looked really good. So just check out this trailer. They're all over.
Don't know about YouTube. The name.
Yeah.
The name Unknown 9 Awakenings doesn't really pop, but look pretty good. And it's coming into summer, so it's coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that one had a Game Pass logo because not everything here had a Game Pass logo. Yeah. The next game was Sleight of Hand. No release date, coming to Game Pass. This looks like it's a noir game where you use cards to attack. No gameplay shown, but it looked super, super stylish. Don't know if that one caught your attention.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it actually caught Angela's more than mine. So, just a very look like the little bit that we saw, like it appeared to be very, very detailed, very genuine cutscenes. So I'd be curious about the card mechanic but
yeah, like what it looks like in combat. Like in the trailer, they're like throwing the cards around like more actiony, like Gambit. So it's just like, that could be cool. But if it's just like cards on the screen and I'm picking through the deck, I don't know if that's going to be great. We got The Alters. No release date, but coming to Game Pass. This looked interesting. So basically, at first I saw it and I'm like, oh, this looks like a Death Stranding clone. But this is basically you working in like some like spaceship thing, and
it's like Fallout meets Death Stranding.
Yeah, Fallout Shelter meets Death Stranding. Yeah. And the gimmick is with this is you're by yourself on a ship, but you have the ability to clone yourself. But the way you clone yourself is you clone a version of yourself that makes a different decision than the one you made in your life, which creates basically a whole different personality of your character. It looked really cool. Though some of the times where there's like dialogue looked very Bethesda-y and very stiff, which I noticed there's a couple games that kind of did that perspective.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of tired of that perspective, and if you played the Fallout games or any Bethesda game,
that over the shoulder conversation,
Yeah, where the NPC just looks a little too stiff and unnatural, but the gameplay idea for this looked cool, interesting. I don't know if it's fully a game for me, but
it's essentially he's overwhelmed. He's supposed to run a station that's supposed to run the station is supposed to operate with like 100 people. He finds a material that he can start making himself. But the example they used in the game was like, what if I would have, like what if I didn't leave my hometown? Like what would my life be? Like what if I tried to save my marriage? Who would I be? What if I did this? Who would I be? And then it looks like he actually starts to fight with himself.
Because they're completely different personalities based off those decisions that were changed, which is a really cool sci-fi concept. I would almost want to see this as a TV show more than play this as a video game. But at least they're trying something different. And no release date. This will be coming to Game Pass. I'm very curious to see where this game.
This is kind of like
looking like.
Everybody's gonna roll their eyes and hate to say me say this. This is a perfect Game Pass or Plus game, especially for you. You're like, okay, they're grabbing your attention enough that you want to play it, but maybe not enough that you want to buy it.
Yeah, especially games like this that are high concept.
Yeah,
have a significantly higher chance to.
But then if it hooks you, you're gonna tell other people to buy it.
Yeah, and if you're a weirdo like me, you're gonna like it so much on Game Pass that you're gonna want to buy your own copy of it, so you're not upset when it leaves Game Pass eventually.
But Game Pass people don't buy games, Michael.
Apparently they don't. Well, I don't have Game Pass anymore, so maybe that's true. The next game, which, man, Dave, when I saw this trailer, I was so confused.
I was more laughing at my wife because my wife hates everything Chucky, and she was like literally using a piece of pizza to block the TV so she didn't have to look at it.
This is Griefville is getting Chucky content. Apparently, this is just a Roblox game, so this is one of the games in Roblox.
Sure. And
it's got Chucky DLC. I saw this and I'm like, who the fuck is this for?
Yeah. All this told me is that Owen does not need to play Roblox.
No, but that's the thing is like Roblox is aimed towards children, and Chucky DLC just goes way against that. I was very confused. I'm only mentioning it because it's just such a bizarre thing.
It just means that more people your age are playing Roblox than we know.
I mean, it makes sense. Video games are just that's just how video games are. But like, I don't know, the idea that someone in their 30s is playing this game, especially if this looked like a bad Roblox game. I don't know. It's super weird that this was in this, but Roblox coming to consoles was a big enough deal, so I can see PlayStation also having like some Roblox-centric trailer.
Yeah, and if Roblox has enough money, how much does it cost? Oh, okay, we'll do double. We want the middle spot.
Yeah, and that's kind of how this felt. Like they were like, we want to be dead center.
Yeah.
The next game of interest, The Sinking City 2, coming in 2025. This is after years of like legal battle over the IP. Frogware is making this one, and it looks cool, very stylish. I played the first Sinking City.
I played some of it too. I remember playing at E3. The concept is very interesting. Yeah,
it's like a noir detective game in like the Cthulhu universe. This one, I read up on it. They are going more horror than detective.
Pass.
That's kind of how I felt a little bit because I like detective games. Yep. But it looks significantly.
But any sequel is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it does look like...
I'm sorry, any sequel that's being made is good, is great that it's being made. I'm not saying this game is going to be great, but continuing...
Especially after like the crazy legal battle that happened with this, where I think it was Nikon.
Sounds about
Basically, right. we're not paying the developer anymore, and we're going to delist the game, and then the Frogwares had to fight them to get the rights back. And the game does look better. Like one of the knocks against like the first one is it just looked kind of budget and janky.
Mm-hmm.
This one on the Unreal Engine 5 looks pretty nice, so hopefully it works out a little bit better. The next game, Final Fantasy XIV, coming March 21st to Xbox. So very quick beta period before releasing the full game. We'll see if that breaks
perks to Game Pass subscribers too for it.
Yeah, starter edition, which I'm curious because I technically have.
Yeah, I thought it was free to like level 60 or something like that.
It is. It is free to level 60. I have an account, but I wonder if I could get the starter pack, even though I'm like
because you already have a Square Enix account. You already have a Square Enix
Final Fantasy 14 account. Yeah. So I'm curious. I might resubscribe just to see what the starter pack does. And I like playing in the casinos there.
That game just screams keyboard and mouse to me whenever the little bit that I tried to play it.
I broke myself so hard into where I can only play that with the controller, but I'm not good at the game.
Yeah.
The next thing, which is came out today, Stalker Trilogy. So the original Stalker games are now out on Xbox. That's pretty cool. I've never been a fan of Stalker, but the fact that they did a shadow drop of anything is cool.
I love shadow drops. It's just not this game.
Persona 3 Reload expansion pass was shown. This is basically adding, I believe, like some soundtrack stuff from the 4th and 5th game into this game, as well as adding some of the Fez content. There's multiple editions of Persona over the years, or Persona 3. But it doesn't look like it includes any of the Persona 3 portable content, which is what I'm waiting on. But hey, an expansion pass for this game. Cool, I guess. Not really, but
it seems like there's a lot of people that more Personas never a bad thing.
Yeah, that would probably shouldn't have been in the original game because it was a single player game and it doesn't need an expansion pass. But whatever. But the idea that they're like, hey, we're gonna remaster the Persona game, but we're only gonna do the vanilla one so we can expansion pass the other iterations of the game is
Final Fantasy Rebirth says hi.
Yeah. The next game shown, the first Berserker Kazan. This game looked interesting, Dave, but the frame rate on this trailer
all right,
was
cool.
dog
so
shit.
Like the doors opening like hurt my eyes. Like
I don't know why they thought this
had to have been like 10 frames, right? I'm not a frames dude, but this had to have been like
at least 20.
Yeah,
like it was definitely a game running at 30 and
it's struggling.
Yeah. From an art conception gameplay perspective, it looks cool, but that frame rate just makes you want to stay away from it.
Yeah. Like I just want to know how that got past like a game director.
It must have been one of those ones where they paid for the spot.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I guess they had to show something. Like,
yeah,
this is the best. All right, you got 12 hours. This is the best we got. Okay, run it. Like,
yeah. I was hoping Microsoft at one point would be like footage from Series S version of the game, because it looked rough.
Did you see? I don't remember what game it was, but did you see the subtitle on there that said in-game footage, though like appearances may change based on platform?
Which is a thing you have to put when you have the Series S and X, and if there's also a Switch version, because a lot of these games are coming to multiple platforms. But yeah, again, art-wise, look pretty cool. Gameplay-wise, could be interesting, but that frame rate just kind of made me focus on the wrong things as opposed to focusing on the game.
I mean, at least they didn't put any date on it.
Yep. So they got time. The next game is Tales of Kenzura Zao. This is an EA original. This is that side-scrolling game that they talked about at the Game Awards. That's coming April 23rd.
This looks cool.
Yeah.
But I love side-scrolling Metroidvania styles, which is what this looks like. So.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those. Not much to say. It's coming April 23rd. Cool trailer.
That's
definitely check it out.
It's not far away either.
Yeah. The next one, Konitsugami Path of the Goddess. This is coming from Capcom. It's coming in 2024 and to Game Pass. This looked really good, very colorful.
Combat depth is what intrigued me the most. Like, kind of like it has a side scroll look to it, but then you kind of go into the game.
Yeah, it also gave me vibes of like Kenna Bridge of Spirits. For some of the stuff that they did, and the combat looked like there's multiple things you can do in it. It just looked really good on Capcom for like doing like a new IP. Also,
super colorful.
Yeah,
so
it really popped. It was a good way to like kind of end the partner showcase. Because it's because of it being it's like so colorful. It just made it that much more stand out from everything else that was shown. But yeah, that was the partner showcase.
Yeah, nothing, to be honest with you, like nothing wowed me today from that showcase, but I think it's cool to see the games. I feel like these games could have been almost anywhere. Like they could have been at a state of play. They could have been at a Nintendo Direct. They could have been at the showcase. They could have done their own reveal trailer. They could have just dropped the trailer. So there's got to be some metrics that say that people are paying attention to Microsoft and Sony more than just dropping a trailer.
Yeah, I would probably say this is like a B- if I were going to throw a grade on it. Like nothing crazy. This felt like a Nintendo partner sort of showcase. The one thing I will criticize, like I don't know who's doing the narration between trailers, but the person just sounded really sleepy. Like they just didn't really sound too interested in it. They were trying to be over dramatic, and it just kind of didn't work for me.
I don't necessarily listen to the voices, but I like the fact that they're like, hey, you want to know more? Go here.
Like, yeah, I like that. It just the
because they gave you the opportunity to see more about Sinking City.
Yeah, I do like I will say one thing that I liked about this presentation. I like that every 3 trailers they would show you a screen of the last 3 trailers that you saw.
What was that game? Like,
Yeah, exactly, because that happens during these,
yeah,
especially when they just go trailer, 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 trailer,
yeah,
trailer. So the idea that there was breaks every 3 or 4 trailers to show you, like, hey, this is what you just saw. Here's the platforms it's coming to, or if it's coming to Game Pass, here's the release date on them. So you at least have that information, like a reminder, because they don't want you to do the thing that I usually do when I watch state of plays or Nintendo Directs, where as I'm watching on one screen, I have another screen researching the game to see if I
yeah.
can find a release date
I
because I
find
missed
myself
it.
trying to take notes, like
Yeah,
quick notes.
and this made it to where you don't want to look away because
Yeah.
that information you usually might want to look up is going to be presented to you one more time.
Yeah. And then you also know
through the
you could just like
presentation.
rewind and freeze it and then write it down. Like
Yeah,
if you had to. So yeah, I agree. The other than the voice, I'm with you. Like the whole
yeah.
process of trailer, recap, trailer, recap, trailer.
Here's a website link. We have more information. That
Yep.
sort of stuff. It's the thing that PlayStation does really good on the PlayStation blog after their showcases.
They just don't tell you to go
Where
there.
yeah, exactly. They just
Yeah.
don't tell you to go there. You just have to know to go there. So like I feel like Microsoft's finding like a sweet spot between the Nintendo way and the PlayStation way.
Yeah.
And
I do feel like my
all,
YouTube feed ends up being like a battle though, because I subscribe to like Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, and like developers as well. So then when something like this airs, my YouTube feed is like four of the same.
Oh yeah,
four of the same.
especially if it's like a Capcom game or Square
Yeah,
Enix game. It's just like, okay, which one you're gonna give me the PlayStation one because that's where people are actually watching these videos.
Yeah. But I mean, my trailer had the PlayStation logo, the Capcom logo, the Square Enix
No,
logo.
yeah, that's what I mean.
The
and it's gonna
logo.
like bring you the most popular channel because I'm sure some of these trailers will hit the PlayStation channel and have way more views than what it got on the Xbox channel.
Yep.
So like that's how my YouTube will be if I load it up after this. It's gonna be like, hey, see that new game from Capcom, and I'll get all that stuff. But that's all I have for the news, and I don't think anything was delayed.
Okay. Playing and watching will be relatively short for me. So I've been just a small little bit of Helldivers and a little bit of Destiny. There's a new like spring event or whatever that gets my attention for a little bit. I have this like weekly every Sunday night with the core 6 of us that do this, like our just do our Destiny stuff for like 2 hours, and that's been great and refreshing, and that's really for the most part the most of the time that I've been spending playing Destiny. Helldivers, like I said, just got a big patch today. So that's kind of been changing stuff. I do need to grind some of that. I really need them to do like a double XP weekend. I feel like I got to catch up. Like
they need to do one when I buy the game because I feel like every time I see the Helldivers channel and everyone's talking about their stuff, I'm like, I can't join.
Yeah. It does a really good job though of like you won't feel under leveled. Like they can help you, so like, but at the same time, it still is an XP grind. Like it's a service game. It's an XP grind. I'll be curious how they handle this over time, where they keep as they continue to get popular and fix their server issues. Like, are they going to involve a catch up? Are they going to involve like because they're very much against like pay to win, like very much against it. They've been out saying they're very against it.
And they have not been purchased by PlayStation. They came out twice today in different interviews to say that.
Yeah. So and it's also super interesting that I know that like console patching is different than PC patching, but it's always like, hey, we released a patch today. It's coming to PS5 later. Like, and this is like a Sony published game. It is getting better treatment on the PC than it is on the console. Super fascinating how all this stuff works.
Well, it's because PC, there's no guardrails or safety belt. They're like, if you want to patch it, you think it's good, do it. But on console, they're like, no, we're making sure you don't break our system. Don't you dare break our system.
Yeah. So I did actually get outside over the weekend and I played softball. I played like a handful of games outside. The weather was nice enough on Saturday, and then I did like an idiot play some indoor softball very late at night. So that's kind of really messed with me for the last 2 or 3 days. Like I'm just like Michael. I'm just getting too old to be playing softball at 1 and 2 in the morning. Like,
and you're tall too, so it's probably extra tiring.
Oh my god, you're such a dick.
It's true though, isn't it? Like tall people get tired.
What?
More tired because they got the long limbs they got to flail about.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
So yeah, like that's it's been a little bit of work, and then just trying to find something. Helldivers is grabbing me in small increments, and I just software just gaming in general just seems like it's just hard to get into anything right now at all. Like, I need another Guacamelee, Nobody Saves the World, like something new, refreshing that's going to do something a little different, and I'm just not seeing any of it. Suicide Squad didn't do it. Helldivers is kind of doing it, but it's like, oh, Helldivers is just filling the Destiny gap for me.
But the problem is with like Helldivers that I'm having is this, it's very much social gaming to where if you do want to enjoy it, you're like, let me go see if like these 2 people are on or these 3 people are on.
Yeah,
or
like
the Discord makes it easier to like find people to play with, but like the idea of coordinating that, like, it's,
you just tag them and say I'm on. If they jump on, they jump on.
Yeah. But like when you there's nothing pulling you to just like, I want to play this right now, and I don't want to have to worry about loading into something or trying to make sure people are online. There's nothing really out there right now. Prince of Persia was close.
Yeah, there's nothing that, like, I mean, I did it for like an hour today. Like, Angela and Owen went to Scouts. I was too tired before we recorded. I literally just played Destiny PvP, and I haven't played Destiny PvP in like 6 or 8 months. And I sat on my couch with my PlayStation controller. I just turned my brain off completely, and just it was just nice to just that feeling of like, oh, it's 6:05, like now it's 7:15. I'm like, okay, like you kind of are just very calm and very relaxed, and like Angela pointed it out to me, like, you know, sometimes some of my softball stuff costs, you know, to do, and she's like, you know what? She's like, you're out there, you're running around, you're hitting the ball. She's like, you just look calmer, you know. So it's like. So she's like, if that's what it, you know, every once in a while, if that's what it takes, like for you just to kind of just like not be like tense or be thinking about stuff all the time. And there's a lot of things going on in all of our lives, and I think we all just need that, like, just to shut off our mind for a little while, you know. But
no, same thing. I'm currently looking for that game that shuts my brain off, but can't find it right now.
Yeah, so that's really all I've been playing and watching. Just been. We started like with the writer strike ending. There's a couple of our shows that are coming back that we're trying to, you know, trying to watch. But I also got so used to just watching, you know, like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 episodes at a rip. Now I'm like, I gotta wait a week. Like I was like, might as well just wait a month and just watch all 4. Like,
yeah.
So it's like that's pretty much been it for me. So.
Yeah, for me, it's still Ace Attorney. We finished the first Ace Attorney game in that trilogy of games, so we're going to start the second one soon. I went back to Advance Wars. I think I may have talked about that recently, where I went back to Advance Wars just to clean up anything that I didn't finish before. That game does get kind of difficult towards the end of trying to do some of that cleanup. So I've been doing that. I've been having Sarah watch the X-Men animated cartoon because X-Men 97 is coming out this month.
Oh, is that this month? Okay.
Yeah, it comes out this month, which we've both been enjoying. I mean, I watched them as, you know, growing up, and then she's watching them now.
Damn it, is that going to be weekly too?
I don't know. I just know it's going to have 10 episodes, but it's probably going to be weekly.
Oh, man. Okay.
And I hope they don't mess it up. I don't think they will, but
is there anybody with some cachet helping them?
I mean, they got some of the original writers to help on it, and they got a good chunk of the voice actors that are still alive to come back. So there's a chance it could be good, but I just don't kind of trust Disney at this point with some of their stuff. Disney's so hit or miss on.
They did really good with Percy Jackson. They did really, really good, but I mean.
But then if you look at like their Star Wars output, it's like there's one good thing for every 2 bad things.
I feel like the Disney Plus stuff has been a little bit more leaning towards the good.
Yeah, I guess, except the Marvel stuff.
But the shows have been, like, WandaVision was good, and
but that was the first one.
I know, but then there was some other, like, there was
Loki
another one.
Was okay.
Yeah, Loki 1 and 2 was good. The
Miss Marvel was okay.
Yeah, so I think that, yeah, like I said, I'm not sitting there saying like it's been great. The stuff that's been focused and developed for Disney Plus has been more better than bad.
Yeah, it's almost like what we were talking about with the live service stuff. Yeah. It's just like when they try and make something that should just be a movie into a whole TV show, they can't do. But yeah, it's just kind of been a mixture of watching all that stuff. A lot of stuff going on right now, but it's a pretty slow week for me in terms of like video game wise. I did pick up some more random PS4 and PS3 games to my physical games collection, and I have a lot of amiibos. I got like 2 more amiibos that came in, but I'm done now.
I got another Funko Pop, another Destiny one.
Oh my God, Dave. Destiny Funko Pops. I was really tempted because GameStop started to carry PS3 games again, and they're reasonably priced
boy.
on their website. But I just don't want to do the thing where I order it and then I just get a game in a sleeve.
Yeah.
But I might test it out because there's like 3 games in my cart that I'm like, I want to add these to the collection, and I never see them out in the wild. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. All right. We did have a couple questions that hit Facebook, but Michael couldn't get into it, so and I didn't grab them. So we will put them on next week. Yeah. So there's one that like Matt Lowe wants us to like go back and forth on our most anticipated games, and we can't repeat each other's things. And I was like, that's a convoluted question. So.
We will do those next week when I can get into Facebook, and also when we're not over an hour already.
Yeah, or I'll copy and paste them and send them to Michael on Discord. So.
That works too, Dave. That would actually be a lot easier because I don't like Facebook.
So, or I'll screenshot them at least. So
yeah.
But yeah, please check us out. Like digitaldaysgaming.com is the main website. Our Twitter is at digitaldayspod. Michael's is at the first MJC. Mine is at Good Dave Hunt. We have the Facebook group and the Discord server. We're still pushing people towards the Discord server. Stay towards, like, I would just, like, that's our preference. I'm not going to sit there and say you have to do it, but that's where the most activity is in the Discord. So
especially if you're looking for a game.
Yeah, if you're on the fence about Discord, like, just give it a try. We'll help you. We'll show some stuff. I'll ask you some questions. It's very easy. It's not, you can customize the notifications. You can turn things on. You can turn things off like you need to.
And you could leave if you don't like it too.
And
you know, like you can.
But I'm
try
saying,
like
I don't know if people realize, like, okay, if I just want to find people to play Fortnite with. Okay, we have a Fortnite tag. I just want to find people to play Helldivers with. We have a tag.
Yeah, and you can turn a notification on just for that tag.
Yep. So there's a lot. So if you're on the, just message me on, Twitter, the main account, Michael's account, Facebook message me, however you can get a hold of either one of us. And then we'll send you a Discord link. It's super easy. You click on it, download the app. It just works. The voice chat on PlayStation and Xbox and PC just works. It's so refreshing just to play and just to jump in. You can see who's in the chat. You can see who's talking. You can see if they're muted.
Switch.
Like, yeah, it's just like it's just so easily streamlined and functional, and it's just nice. We have a thread for gamer tags and everything. Like, it just works, and you can find it and search, and I love it. And the more that I'm seeing the active in the community, the more I love it. It's awesome. So check out our Discord server, check out our Patreon, and other than that, I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.